the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They all have their exits and their entrances. And one man, in his time, plays many parts, his acts being 7 stages. This is a quote from my play, As You Like It, which I wrote in 1599. That's over 400 years ago. As you can see, I am standing on my stage because I am William Shakespeare, the world's famous author and playwright. I was born on April 23rd, 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon in England. I played an important role in the Renaissance because I was a patron of the arts and wrote many famous books and plays. I think that in the future I will impact many authors and playwrights by inspiring them to write about great and beautiful things. Lessons will be taught about the works of my literature. To begin, I would like to show you my masterpiece. As you can see, it's a small book, as I was a writer of literature. In this book, you can find some of my very own sonnets. In the back of the book, you can find some of the books I've written, just in case you're interested in reading any of them. I also made a stage. The stage represents my plays, as most plays were performed on stages. My border items are little scrolls. Inside the scrolls, you will find some of my famous sonnets. Sonnets are a special kind of poem that have 14 lines and 10 syllables in each line. I wrote over 100 sonnets, but I'm only going to give a few. To be specific, I will be giving out sonnets 3, 18, 24, and 154. On my guild sign, you will find a picture of myself for those who aren't as educated enough to read. For those who were able to read my name, it is printed, also with my birth year and the year I died. On my display board, you will find a picture of myself, my name, and a timeline of the most important dates in my life. On one side, you will find my famous books and plays like Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet. On the other side, you will find interesting facts and famous quotes. For example, to be or not to be, that is the question. From my play, Hamlet. The life in the Renaissance was quite nice for me. I had a high social status. I even bought the second biggest house in Stratford-upon-Avon. I survived the time of the bubonic plague. I built the Globe Theatre for my plays to be performed. I sometimes acted in them myself. I was married to Anne Hathaway and had 3 children, Susanna, Hamnet, and Judith. Unfortunately, Hamnet died at the age of 11. I was a well-known man. I am delighted to tell you about some of my famous plays. The list would go on for about 37, but that would take a very long time. So I will just name a few. My plays were The Comedy of Errors, Much Ado About Nothing, The Merchant of Venice, As You Like It, Macbeth, A Midnight Summer's Dream, Taming of the Shrew, Romeo and Juliet, and more to follow. Romeo and Juliet was one of my most famous plays. Romeo and Juliet was a tragic love story about 2 young adults who fall in love, but their families have a long family feud. In the end, Romeo and Juliet both commit suicide because of this family feud. My last play written was The Two Kinsmen in 1613, when I was 49 years old. Many may be wondering what my life was like after all my plays were written. I was so famous and had a lot of money and a lot of things. Unlike some famous people, I died rich and well known. On April 23rd, 1616, I died at the age of 52. Back then, they usually dug up the bones to make room for the other people, but my bones are still in the graveyard in Stratford-upon-Avon. As you can tell, I, Shakespeare, lived a great life. Let me finish with the first sonnet I ever wrote. From various creatures we desire increase, that thereby his beauty rose might never die. But as the ripper should be time to cease, his tender hair my self-sustainable for you, making a famine where abundance lies. Thyself, thy foe, to thy sweet self so too cruel, thou that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only heralds the gaudy spring. Within thine own bud buryest thy content and tender churl, makest waste in the garden. Pity the world, or else this gluten be, to eat the world's due by the grave and